Hey, how you doing? It's Mr. Producer. GIE Plus Expo is coming back October the 20th through the 22nd, and Brian looks forward to seeing you all there. Now, if you haven't registered yet, do so now and get 50% off the registration price with the promo code BRIAN. And of course, I'll have a link for you in the show description.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no-nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging out with you guys actually in the beautiful living room of our house. We actually just got back here from up north Michigan.
Yeah, if you live in Michigan, you know northern Michigan in the summer is like why you live in Michigan.
Amen to that. We just got back from a 5-day baby moon.
Yes.
What's a baby moon?
A baby moon, I think it's like a newer thing. I don't think our parents did baby moons, but it's just
Gender
an excuse
reveals, baby
to like
moons.
get away before baby comes when it's just you two and enjoy just sometimes a couple before you add in like another dose of craziness.
Amen to that. Amen. Well, we have the beautiful baby. Babies due what, end of July?
End of July, early August.
All right, so we've got about 4 or 5 weeks at the time of this recording.
Yes.
So we just went away for how long did we go away
I
for?
think we were gone for a while, 5 or 6 days.
5 or 6 days. We finished up the week. We pulled some of our work forward, so we got like 4 days worth of work done in 3. We have Rob holding the fort from Monday, Tuesday when we came.
Super thankful for him.
Yeah, when we came back, so he's been holding the fort, and so we're going to play some catch up, whatever I got to do this next couple of days. But we want to talk to you guys for just a little bit about a practical thing that works for us running our lawn and landscape company. A lot of you guys are owner operators. A lot of you guys, want to spend more time with your significant other, your spouse. You're like, how do I do that? How do I actually do it? And so there's a couple things that, listen, we don't come from this top-down approach.
No. This is just very top of mind because if for those of you who've been following along with us, we just got done with our Together in the Trades event, a summit for couples in business, Together in the Trades, and we had Dr. Bill Harley. He is an author of His Needs, Her Needs. He's a psychologist. Psychologist, not the kind that gives you medicine, but the kind that
Evaluates you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's been a marriage counselor for, I don't know, longer than we've been alive.
What did he say he had been married for? 59 years?
It was something like that. He met his wife when she was 13 and he was 14, and he knew he wanted to marry her.
Yeah.
They're the cutest, we don't have grandparents alive, unfortunately. Right. That's what I would imagine.
They'd be like
idealistic grandparents just that are so in love it's sick.
Well, his whole conversation was to have a growing, blossoming relationship and marriage. Mm-hmm. It requires 15 to 20 hours of active working on it, quality time together.
A week.
And so
which
is great because I think we did that last April for the month. But here's what we want to do. We want to talk about some practical ways that we try to hit that. Mm-hmm. And if we don't hit it, how do we still spend some quality time together? And we'll talk about different times of the season too. It's obviously a little easier for us to spend 10, 20 hours a week together in the winter when we're only chasing a snowstorm.
We're together more than we're apart in the winter, for sure.
For sure. But in the spring?
No,
not so much, right? So what we want to do is just present some fun ideas, some fun conversation, maybe even talk to you a little bit about our trip up to Traverse City. Just kind of hang out with you guys for a little bit. This will be a little bit more of the, what do we talk about? Lawns, lessons, life. This will be a little bit more of the life conversation, right? So, all right, let's do this. Let's kick it over to Marty, Mr. Producer. We're going to hear from today's show sponsor, which we always appreciate you guys listening to the ads and the sponsors and supporting those guys. They're investing into the show and they love helping you guys grow a more successful business in life. And so make sure you guys reciprocate with whoever that we are rocking with the episode show sponsor. So let's do this really quick. We'll kick it over to Marty and then we're going to come right on back.
I am always sending Brian text and DM saying you gotta have Liz on the show more often. Just seems like the ratings always go up when she appears. They have a lot of fun, great chemistry, humorous stories. So I'm glad you did that, Brian. Hey, today's sponsor is Corey Ballard over at Ballard-Inc.com. They have a really great deal right now on their advanced chute cover, plus tons of innovative solutions for outdoor professionals just like you. Plenty of apparel and shoes, mower and edging blades, axe blades, service tools, safety gear, just a whole laundry list of what you need to finish the summer strong. And don't forget, Brian's 10, that's your coupon code to save 10%. Corey also has a podcast. It's called The Green Grind. Brian was a special guest on a recent episode. So after today's show, check that out. And a link for Ballard-Inc.com can be found in the show notes.
All right, guys, and we are back, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about how we grow our relationship and what works for us.
Yes.
By the way, like we said earlier, we are not marriage counselors.
Not at all.
We had them into our live event.
Yeah, we actually brought in professionals.
We brought in I said we had the practical and the credentialed, right?
Yeah, and His Needs, Her Needs is a book that you read before you even met me. We read as a dating couple to prepare for marriage, and we revisit pretty regularly.
Yeah.
And that's where this concept comes from, is His Needs, Her Needs book.
So 15 to 20 hours a week to fill the love bank.
The love bank.
So that
deposits.
to have a growing relationship. And so for us, let's just talk about it. So we just did a baby moon. We were gone for 5 days. So I think we got our 20 hours a week in for last week and this week. In fact, I think we got 100 hours in a week. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You couldn't get rid of me. I couldn't get rid of you. We had a really good time. We went to Northern Michigan, which is still Lower Peninsula. But if you guys do the whole Michigan thing, which is your right hand, and you kind of look like the Michigan, geography of the states.
It's like your pinky.
It's like the pinky and your ring finger if it's on your right hand, right?
Yep.
So we bopped around between... Where do we go?
We parked it at Traverse City because there was a hotel with a charger. Because we brought the Tesla.
Supercharger.
And we bopped around all up and down the coast.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
We went to, in different varying degrees of days, but from the top left, we went to Leland, Sutton Bay. Mm-hmm. We went all the way to Glen Arbor. We went to Mission...
Old Mission Peninsula. There's my favorite lighthouse.
Lighthouse there.
And then we went up to Charlevoix, Petoskey, Bay Harbor area.
Yep, all that.
Yeah.
Which is, it's about an hour and a half drive in between all these little towns and cities. So
much fun. People call it like the third coast or the fresh coast because it really does look like the ocean. Like it's
unsalted.
So pretty, unsalted.
Yes. And that's one of our favorite places to go. So Traverse City, not so much. It's good food. It's like craft beer. It's a little...
It's kind of in between everything we want to get to.
Yeah.
Central.
It was central home base for us to recharge over the car every night. By the way, little pro tip, if you guys are always talking about making investments into your business, and so are we, the hotel we stayed at, the reason we stayed there is because they had a Tesla, it's the level 2, charger, like the ones that you can charge from your home and fill the car up overnight. Well, they had 4 of them at this hotel. It was the only hotel up and down the whole freaking coast.
There was, there was 2 more. One in Bay Harbor.
Well, they had no rooms.
But there was no room. And then same thing. There was a bed and breakfast in maybe Charlevoix or Petoskey that had one, but they didn't have any rooms either.
But nothing in the whole freaking coast,
right?
Or the whole coastline there. Is it a coast?
Yeah.
The lake coastline. But the Del Mar Hotel, if you guys are looking it up in Traverse City, beautiful little place. It's been getting renovated and updated. It looks a lot better from what some guests we talked to said it looked like just 4 or 5 years ago.
In the 70s, it was like
the bomb. Quite the place, quite the party. So we were hanging there. They had some superchargers there. So I was just saying, for the $5 or $10 grand or $20 grand that they did to put these chargers in, there was 3 or 4 Teslas there.
A few people with Teslas that stayed, and it's because of the chargers. So just with a couple $1,000 probably upgrade, investment, they got just in 1 week.
We paid for a third or a fifth of that. Just from the room rental and then all the food and the room service. I mean, we spent $2,500 there in, better part of a week. Yeah. And so and there was 3 or 4 other Teslas there. So
side tangent.
Invest
in your business.
Invest in your business, man. You never make it convenient for your customers to come. There was the only hotel on the whole coast other than the Bay Harbor, and they only had 1 charger, and it was $900 a night. So I'm not doing that. Not yet. We don't have those Paul Jameson Green Industry podcast millions, right? The YouTube millions, they always say. So any which way, we spent 5 or 6 days together up there, maybe 6 days, 5 nights, just kind of hanging out, getting some quality time because baby's due, like we were talking about earlier.
End of July, early August.
Yep, and we're looking forward to that.
Yep, we're trying not to put an exact date on it because
you never know.
Yeah.
But then we just got back home, we got a little bit of things to just kind of button up, and then start preparing for Launchpreneur Academy behind the scenes, which
excited.
Those tickets will go on sale here, probably middle of July, something like that. Yeah. So let's go back to Bill and Together in the Trades, which was a ton of fun. We had those recap episodes we just did last week or so.
Yeah, if you haven't checked those out, we did 2-part episode. The first part was on Kid Contractor podcast with Caleb Allman and Brittany Allman. Yep. And then the second half was here on Fullerton Unfiltered. And then we also did our own.
And we also did our own debrief, which was about an hour. So really, really good time if you want to hear about that whole marriage couple summit that we did down in Waco. Next year,
it's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee, and it's either going to be in July or June, depending on availability. We're looking into some venues right now.
I think we're looking like mid-June. Let's just leave it there.
Possibly.
So, but like to go full circle, Bill Harley said 15 to 20 hours a week. So for us personally, we want to grow our relationship. Like that's like the number one thing you have to remember is that like your relationship isn't going to just get better by default. Your business isn't going to get just better by default, right? Or osmosis, right?
It's not something you can put on autopilot usually and expect it
to just grow.
Yeah.
Right. So 15 to 20 hours a week. We know that Caleb Allman was laughing. He's like, oh, okay. You know, that might have been good in the 80s.
You don't have kids or like a business.
Because he also said 15 to 20 hours for your kids, 15 to 20 hours for your spouse, 15 to 20 hours for your parents.
Once you add it all up, it seems very
I was like, when am I
You're insane.
I was like, when am I supposed to grow my business, right? One of those deals, right?
Right.
But here's the deal. We are not the best example of getting 15 to 20 hours a weekend.
There are some seasons in our relationship where we were very, very unbalanced.
For sure.
And it was a mutual agreement that this is what we need to do. Mm-hmm. And we did what we could during those seasons to come back together. But it wasn't a time where we were spending 20 hours a week together.
I think we spent 20 hours a month together.
Yeah.
Maybe. So number one, relationships aren't going to grow just by default, right? You have to be intentional. You have to work on these things. You can't just read a self-help book, listen to a podcast, watch a YouTube video, get fired up and motivated, and then 3 minutes later forget what you just learned, go back to your old habits. That's not how it works, right? You have to be intentional, right? Like if you are intentionally leaving the toilet seat up, it's going to take some intentional effort to start putting the toilet seat down, right? Your woman might appreciate that. So
You've never left the toilet seat up.
I've never left the toilet seat up since we've been married, but I always left the toilet seat up before we got married. So it took me a couple weeks to figure out that you like it down, so we put it down everywhere we go, which I know you appreciate.
Me too.
I grew up with 3 brothers. We left the toilet seat up.
Your poor mom.
Yeah. So number one, we don't have any notes here, but number one, you got to be intentional. Number 2, you have to be in agreement. Like you just said. I love what you just said there. Talk about that for another second.
So, like, if you're building your business, you don't have any time but to barely eat and sleep and outside of building that business. And, you're investing in yourself. Hopefully you're reading books and like trying to associate with people who are where you're trying to go. Like it seems very unrealistic to expect yourself to also grow relationships like with your parents, with your kids, with your spouse. We were in a position where it was just us. We didn't have a whole lot of like social obligations or anything like that. And
our family was healthy.
Everybody was
stable.
doing good. There is a price to success, and you have to decide if it's worth it for you or not to go that hard. And it has to be a mutual agreement. Brian never was mandated top down. This is what we're doing. I'm not going to see you for the entire summer or whatever. Right. It was, hey, this is where we're trying to go. Do you want to pay this price with me? So we were on the same page, and it worked for us. I don't know if it would work for everybody. That's obviously...
So now there's counterbalance too, right? So
right.
I read the book called The One Thing. If you guys haven't read it, I like it. Some people don't like it. They're like, this book is too simple. It doesn't make any sense.
It is irritating because it's just the one thing.
It's like
you can read the cover and you're good.
Yeah, there's like 8 to 10 principles in it, but there's one overwhelming, powerful like overarching sentence in there. And I remember I was telling Brittany and she's like, I like this book. A week later, she's like, that book sucks. And I'm like, why does it suck? She's like, well, I don't have any time to do like the one thing because I have 9 one things, you know. And I'm like, well. There you go. So it is a funny book to read. But for me, there was a chapter in there talking about counterbalance because it talked about, and everybody has their own approach. That's the funny thing about success is like there's all these success principles and all these success gurus, and that's fine. But for me, it just worked out for me where I can't balance out a good marriage, a good business, a good this, and a good that. I need to work really, really hard on my business and then come back and work really, really hard on my marriage.
Like a pendulum.
Like 100%. And by the way, that can be a daily thing. It could be a weekly thing. It could be a year thing. There was times in our relationship where we were growing our lawn and landscape company pretty much like 8 to 6, every day, or 7 to 6 every day. And then I would come home and make and edit YouTube videos. You would help me and you would run different things behind the scenes. You also had a job.
Mm-hmm.
Then you also had
a craft. And then I did.
Then you had a craft business.
Yep.
And that was fun, sort of.
If you heard the episode before this, it was kind of fun.
That's true. But it was completely unbalanced.
It was. And this is kind of where this up north trip kind of originated. We got really good at, okay, we're going to put it on the schedule once a month if we could. Really, we couldn't afford once a month, but once a month would be great. If you're going to go that hard to, okay, I have 3 days worth of undivided attention.
Right.
And
counterbalance.
Some people say don't talk about business during that time.
It's hard.
It's hard not to. I don't see a problem with us doing that, but
I think what works for us is we go hard for about 4 to 6 weeks is usually the max.
Yeah.
Like I usually get Saturdays and Sundays off. I normally try to take Sundays off at least. I usually work every freaking Saturday because I'm a workaholic. But about 4 o'clock on Saturday, I try to stop. And then Sunday, I'm like kind of working, but I'm here and I'm not like working in the field, but I'm doing office work or doing a little this, a little that. Like that's not quality time though. That's what Bill was saying. That's not that
Right.
15 to 20 hours.
No.
So some of you guys that are like me and you're working your butts off and you're like, oh, but I take Sunday off. I only do my billing and my scheduling and my design work.
No.
That's not what he's talking about. That's not what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, to be honest, I don't get to take that 15 to 20 hours a week during the week. We probably get 5 to 8, maybe 10 of quality time.
We try and eat meals together.
Okay, so let's talk about what we do try to do because go ahead. Number one, we eat meals together.
Yeah.
Which is about 2 hours, hour to 2 hours a night.
Yeah. And then
Like 6 to 8.
even while you're editing, usually I'm in there and I'm on my phone helping answer comments and things like that. And that's quality time. It's quantity time, not quality time.
Not quality time. Because Caleb Allman said, he goes, I could see like an hour here. Like Caleb was like, I could get the 5 to 10. He's like, I don't think I can get 15 to 20. And we were like, yeah, we don't think we can get
depending on what season it is.
So, and we're not saying anything against Bill Harley by any means, because like, we invited the dude in. But he also grew up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And he didn't have smartphones and tablets and email and the constant barragement of, a small business.
Mm-hmm.
When you work an 8 to 5, you can kind of turn that off. For us as entrepreneurs, we don't want to turn it off. We want to grow. We want to hustle. So go ahead.
Well, I was just saying it's you're so immersed in it, like it's your life. And as long as you and your partner or your spouse are on the same page about that, I don't really have an issue with
You're working late.
Like working late or anything. And you do a very good job of checking in and saying, hey, how are you feeling? You need some time? Like, you want to do something this weekend? Or like we're very in tune with each other to recognize when the other person
that's a good one.
Yeah, is needing some time. And you'll see you're fighting more about silly things. It's never the thing that you're fighting about, It's like, oh, the socks on the floor. It's not the socks on the floor that you're mad about. It's that he doesn't think and he puts the socks on the floor and therefore he hates you. Like it's the things, behind the thing. And when you start to see more of that, usually we need some time.
Yeah. So recognize when you might need to counterbalance in your relationship. Again, for us, I know every about 4 to 6 weeks, we got to slow down. We normally take a 3 or 4 day trip. I think the Almonds have called that as well. They mastered the 30-hour trip or something like that.
Yeah, they really have.
I think they buy like 12 flights a year. And then, and so that means that as a couple, they have to go somewhere every like 6 to 8 weeks. Like,
they're really good at it too. And they look like they have some fun. They just pick a place and they don't have an agenda and they just show up and
most of the time they don't have an agenda.
Have a blast.
So our point is, let's say you can't get 15 to 20 hours a week and you can get 5 to 10. You got the spring rush. You've got the fall rush, right? There's certain windows where we're all trying to just work. That's okay. As long as there's some expectation about when there's going to be some counterbalance.
Yes.
So for us, I'm like, hey, the first 8 weeks of spring, usually mid-March through mid to late May, almost like the first part of June, it's crazy. And we might only get 1 or 2 weekends together, like both Saturdays and Sundays off, because we have so much work to do. Mm-hmm. But that I'm coming back. It's an 8 week window. Hell, I don't want to be doing it either. But that 8 weeks window, we do 30 to 40% of our revenue. Well,
part of that recognition, outside of like being in tune to your spouse and knowing when you do need to take some time, is also like recognizing their heart, like knowing their heart, knowing their spirit, like what they're about. They're not purposefully ignoring you. If you are out there and you're using work to hide from your wife, this isn't for you. Like you got to figure something else out. This isn't the podcast for you.
Right.
But if I know Brian's heart and I know he has a big goal that we're working on, we want to live a certain way or provide a certain lifestyle once the baby gets here, I'm not going to fault him for not going to the movies with me, you guys. Like, he can't do everything. are we trying to get, from point A to point B, or am I distracting him with point B, C, D, that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
I recognize and I know his heart that he's not working late because he wants to get away from me.
Right.
It's because the work's got to get done, and he's doing it for a family.
And so that's talking about being on the same page with your spouse.
That's why we have such aligned goals.
Right.
Because I'm on that adventure with you. Take your wife on the adventure with you. Line up your goals together. Don't say, this is where I'm going with my business. See where she wants to go with your business together.
Let me ask you this. In that spring rush, for example, right? And we're not perfect, but we've learned the last 4 or 5 years what really does work for us. I mean, because I hate the crazy cycle, right? Let's just go full circle. I hate you and me arguing. I'm like, why are we arguing? And like you said,
such a waste of time.
We're arguing about stupid stuff, nonsensical stuff. We're not on the same page. There's miscommunication. There's communication breakdown. Why are we fighting? Why are we petty? Why are we saying backhanded off the handcuff or whatever, remarks? Why are we yelling at each other about dishes, about food, about groceries, all these different things, right? So we talk all the time about, what are we trying to do? So in the spring rush, when I'm working literally 8 to 8, and then I got to go edit YouTube videos, what's some things that you do for me, and what's some things that I do for you? For example, I think not every night, but there's many nights where, I come home at 7 or 8, you have dinner, we spend an hour together, and then I'm going off to do something else, bids, estimates, or edit YouTube videos, and you have dinner ready. And that's a thing that you do as an acts of service to help fill my love tank. And you don't complain about it. You're not like, oh, I got to cook dinner again tonight.
Do you think the farmer's wife, would get mad at her husband for working sun ups and sundown when there's farming hay to be made or whatever, or something? No, there's a time period in which stuff has to get done, and it's only for a certain amount of time.
Right.
It's not forever. Right. And I find the more that I love on you, I automatically just feel more loved myself. It's this weird.
I'll say that in that, for example, typically we're talking the spring rush. It's a time to be less needy.
Yeah, you really have to be mature.
Honestly,
and if you're not able to be mature enough to be independent like that, then I would really evaluate how much you're willing to sacrifice in your business, or sacrifice your relationship for your business. You do have to have a very, very mature spouse who is able to be independent and okay with it. And granted, we don't have kids yet, so take this with a grain of salt. That's going to be a fun adventure to get on.
Oh yeah.
Luckily, we have a lot of support, but that's another reason why this season has been so crazy. Is we're trying to get to a point where it's not necessarily like that for the rest of our lives. The spring rush isn't as crazy for the rest of our lives. I don't want you to be 50 years old and we are doing the spring rush.
Right. And for example, we just got over the hump, right? We're recording this real time in June.
We added Together in the Trades right at the tail end of it, which is fun.
That was crazy. So imagine the spring rush you guys do, and then imagine throwing on a 100-person wedding. That's what I always kind of go back to. Out of state 100-person wedding. Yeah, with new names, new websites, and URLs and booking, all that stuff. Imagine a lot of you guys listening, and you've been married, and so imagine throwing a 100-person wedding out of state. That's what we added to our plate this spring rush. You're not only you're doing the spring rush, but I'm having this out-of-state wedding. Plus
the YouTube channel, plus the podcast, plus Entrepreneur Academy coming up.
It's crazy.
Entrepreneur Academy doesn't happen just in November. We start working on it now.
We started Entrepreneur Academy in January, February. I already put 20 G's down for deposits on all this stuff.
Oh, don't forget we're having a baby.
Yeah, are we having a baby?
Building a house. I think we're doing that this summer too.
I think we are doing a little bit of stuff. So we come from not a top-down, but of, listen, I'm telling you guys practically, I don't like fighting. I hate fighting because it wastes my time. I hate being upset. I hate seeing you upset even more, right? I don't like seeing you upset. I don't like seeing tears come out of your eyes. I don't like seeing you upset. I don't like seeing you hurt. I want to understand who you are, where you're coming from, and why you're feeling the way you do. And then as a guy, what am I always trying to do? Try to fix it. Right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to fix it.
I think most guys.
Most guys want to fix it. And so what I've noticed is that you take a certain amount of time to have your love tank filled, to be appreciated, to be loved on, to know that I'm here for you. And that does take time.
Well, it takes communication too, because there's certain points where I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I haven't seen you for 3 days. I don't care. I'm doing my own thing.
Right.
I miss you, but it's fine. And then there's sometimes where you're no, it's not. And being open and being able to have that conversation, and you make it a place where I don't feel weak for saying, hey, I need some eyeball time.
And that's okay too.
Yeah. And so
this time when I'm hey, I need you. Come here. Hey, feet 5 foot long. It's been 5 days. Come here.
Don't expect that though if you haven't had any eyeball time.
Talk about that for a quick second, because
Really?
because I mean, honestly, that's the thing that a lot of guys struggle with. I did. I was a rube. You know, if you haven't seen your wife for a week and then you go knocking on the door, kicking the door open and go, hey, good luck with that.
Sometimes that's okay.
Maybe.
You gotta get it in when you can get it in. But
that's what she said.
If your wife is a more emotional creature,
yeah,
probably not the best to not see her for 5 days. She's feeling like you've ignored her. The weight of the household is on her shoulders. Plus, if she's working full time outside of the house,
and kids,
that wears on you. And then you're like, hey, I need some
TLC
married people time. Like, no, dude. Like,
right.
What have you done for her this week, or spent time with her? Does she feel valued? It's really, really important. It's kind of weird to talk about. I guess this is the Fullerton Unfiltered.
There's the unfiltered part. Kids listen to the show.
And then some, it's part of knowing your spouse and realizing where they're at. And some, people are okay with that. There's times in a relationship where like it's fine, but there's sometimes that it's not. And like being able to communicate and not being embarrassed with your spouse and talking about those things. Like sex is important in marriage. Mm-hmm. Like it really is. God gave it to us. It's a beautiful gift. And it is very, very, very important. Right. It shouldn't be ignored. But that doesn't mean you can demand it when you haven't seen your wife for like 2
5
weeks.
days. Yeah, that's a fact. So we had to learn how to work that out, right?
Brian was like, "What's a girl?" when we got married.
I was like, "Why are you crying? Why are you emotional?" It's not how this works. I grew up with brothers. All my friends were I had 1 or 2 girlfriends in high school, but I was like, why are you crying? She's like, I haven't seen you for 3 days. I'm like, so? You're like, this it's not how girls work, right? No. Ladies are different. So I've had to read books. I've had to read the boundaries books and the love and respect books and the his needs, her needs and captivating and all these different books to understand a little bit more, and then also listen to how you are feeling and hear you out and talk to you about your emotions. And that's always fun when you just worked a 12-hour day and you have estimates and people breathing down your neck about mulch installs. And I come home and I'm like, why are you upset? You're like, I don't know. And I'm like, I've been using this last couple of months. I heard Ben Shapiro say, is this a listen to you problem or a you need me to fix it problem? Mm-hmm. And you're like, this is just a listening to me problem.
I used to get so offended when he would ask me, like, do you want me to help you or do you want me to just listen? Like, I didn't want you to have to ask me. I just wanted you to just know.
That's the mind F right there.
Yeah.
You're like, I shouldn't even have to ask or tell you about what I'm feeling like. You should already know. I'm sure some guys listening right now are like, oh yeah. So not only am I supposed to know how you feel, I'm already supposed to know like the answer to how you feel and whether or not I should be listening or give you a neck massage or if you just want a hug with a kiss on the neck. I'm supposed to be not psychedelic, but psychologist. Psychic.
We'll get there eventually.
Hang in there. All right. So this is a little all over the place.
Yeah. Talked about sex on the Fullerton. That's weird.
Well, it's Lawns Lessons in Life.
I guess it's part of life.
So something that Bill said, the premise of this whole conversation was 15 to 20 hours a week. Mm-hmm. We don't always get that. There's no way. I would say something that really helped us the last 6 months, and I actually bummed this from my boy Keith Calvis, was date night.
Yeah, you decided...
even in the spring rush.
Yeah, in the middle of the spring. You think you started it in the winter?
Yeah, it was back in like February, March.
We were obviously pregnant, and I don't know, one day you just came home and you're like, we're doing date nights on Thursdays, and we've never done date nights.
Well, I said Tuesdays.
Or Tuesdays.
But you had...
I usually have book club on Tuesdays and Bible study on Wednesdays.
Right. You're like, Tuesday won't work.
Tuesdays.
I'm like, pick a day, but we're doing this once a week.
And we had never done date nights. We kind of made fun of date nights. We're like, we run so hard, like, really, we need to go out to eat. And like, it worked for a while. We didn't need date nights for a while. But with having a baby, we wanted to make that a habit that is instilled where we still, after baby, things are going to be crazy for a couple weeks, couple months,
sure,
however long, but that we can always come back once a week together when things settle down,
right,
and have some eyeball time. And you were very adamant about it. I remember you got mad at me once because you came home and it was Thursday and I wasn't like ready or anything to go, and you're like, it's date night. I didn't realize how serious you were about it.
Well, we did it like 2 weeks in a row, and I'm trying to create this new habit and this new expectation on Thursday to go out. It's 6 o'clock, phones down, right? I don't care if I drop a new video on YouTube and there's 200 comments in an hour and a half. I got to moderate that. That don't matter, right? And so like you weren't ready to go one night, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're like, oh, date night. We'll just like ordering a pizza. I said, I literally was mad. I was like, get your ass ready to go. We were going out to party. We're going out.
We've been having fun trying different restaurants. Like every date night, we try somewhere else to eat, which has been fun. So
hold on. You got to say this really quick. Slow down. But one more time. We go to somewhere different.
Yeah.
Right. So we haven't, because it's an adventure and it gets us both out of our comfort zone.
I'm somebody who we keep talking about, I feel like we talk about adventure and journey and stuff like that a lot. Like I need adventure to feel
like you're part of the adventure.
Yeah. Like alive and like myself. Like routine for me can be.
You hate routine.
I hate it. It's so boring. I hate being bored.
And for me, what's my personality type?
You love routine.
We could go to Outback 52 weeks in a row. I'd be just fine. Steak and lobster, I'm good to go.
Let's wake up, we wake up, hey, what do you want to do today? I don't know. Let's get in the car and go drive to freaking Arizona. I don't know. That's like my thing of like, or my idea of a good time. You're like, where is the plan? Are we on a map? Who's covering Yeah.
We are very different in that.
We are very, very different.
But I do like trying different because I like to eat. I'm a dude. Most dudes like to eat, try something different, sample. So we've made it a rule, for the most part, to try somewhere new, within an hour radius of us. Steak place, a new burger joint. Doesn't always have to be.
We literally went into like
a
drive-in burger place.
Oh yeah,
just down the road. It was like $3 for.
I think
like
literally
a burger and fries or something.
Yeah,
it was so fun.
It doesn't have to be this $150 date night thing, But for us in the spring, the summer, whatever it is, we've been doing date night on Thursday night, and that gets us those 3 or 4 hours in. Usually, like from 6 to 9, that evening is pretty much spent. Is it the 6 to 9? That evening is usually spent. So we don't really do anything. That's that 3 to 4 hours already of that 10 to 15 we're working to. And then you should be able to chisel out an hour or two every evening, Monday through Friday, 3 hours or so on Saturday. Maybe you do work 8 to noon or 8 to 2. You do a couple mulch jobs or a landscape job. Go spend time with the rest of the family. Go for a walk, go for a bike ride, right? Like we have bikes.
I love our bikes.
What do we have? Those little Trek bikes. We have little $500 Trek bikes. It's nothing crazy. Or we go to the pool. We have a clubhouse where we have the pool, and we'll just hang out for that evening, or have my brother and sister-in-law come over, play cards. That's 3-4 hours. And then Sunday, you can go, mow a property or two, go to church, and then or if you don't want to mow on Sunday, that's fine. Of course, I'm not suggesting that, but some of you guys are weekend warriors, and you do, and you have to, and that's cool. But you know what? Go to church at 8:30, 9:30 in the morning, hang out with family, go do brunch or lunch, and then go mow some lawns from, noon to 4, if you have to get it in. We get it. Like, there's work to be done and all that fun stuff. Little side note, Andy, what's his name? Andy Mulder.
Oh, yeah.
Mulder Outdoors.
Saturdays?
Is that his name? Andy Mulder?
Andy Mulder, yeah.
Yeah, that's his name. Duh. I'm like, this should be his name, right? Mulder Outdoors. So he does Saturday.
I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
He realized he hadn't really spent much time with his kids or something.
He just made it a priority.
Yeah, and he takes every Saturday. Like we were at the Hype House, and he's like, I got to go home because it's Saturday.
Right.
I was like, oh, that's so nice. He spends every Saturday with his kids.
Andy Mulder spends every Saturday with his kids. He calls it Saturday, #Saturday. I'm looking forward to that. That looks cool to me. Now in the spring, we're working Saturdays. Sorry, and I know they do as well. But maybe after June 1st, you're done with that spring rush, or maybe it's Memorial Day.
Meet up for lunch,
do something.
Even if you have to work, there's things to you can do around it. Can we talk about what we did? Like we talk about vacations and like eating out. Like we take a vacation every month or once a quarter,
every 6 weeks.
Every 6 weeks, or we go out to eat once a week. Not everybody can do that, but we couldn't do that stuff either. Just 4 years ago,
right?
But we would take like a day trip.
Yeah. All the time. We would go to Grand Rapids, Michigan. We'd go to, a concert for $30. We would go visit friends. We have friends, different parts of the state, or Toledo, Ohio, Columbus. And most people like you're going to leave the state for the day. Like we would go down and let's say go see the Almonds. They're 3 hours away. You leave at 8 in the morning. You get down there at 11:30. You do lunch. You hang out. You do dinner, and then we drive back by midnight, 1, 2, and that was our Saturday day trip. And people are like, "You're leaving the state? You're going to Ohio? You're going to?" My mom would be like, "Well, how long is that week-long vacation?" I'm like, "It's Columbus, Ohio. It's 3 hours away. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
She's like, "You're not getting a hotel?" No, we're going to come back at 2. She's like, well, you're going to be on the highway at 1 a.m. Yeah, Mom.
We had so much fun, like, especially when we first started dating.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of our time that we spent together, like, the foundation of our relationship was spent in the car, talking, going somewhere.
Just driving. Seriously.
Which is so funny.
That's our dreaming,
Yeah.
Like we actually just did that with the Tesla. Like we would chase the sunset one night. We got to Sleeping Bear Sand Dunes. Literally the sun was setting.
It was perfect.
We had 4 minutes left. The sun's going down. But we
running like idiots.
we drove, 45 minutes west just to make sure that we could see it from Traverse City to Sleeping Bear.
It's like our tradition. At the last night of any trip, we usually try and watch the sunset somewhere.
What are we doing on the way there, the way back? Listening to music.
Laughing.
Telling jokes.
Yeah. You almost hit a fox.
I almost hit a fox.
That would have been a completely different story had you hit that fox.
Side note, we were driving, we'll button up right here if you want. But side note, we were driving and this curious fox is in the middle of the road and we're going like 55 miles an hour over there, right? Like those roads are wide open. The speed limit's like 55. People go 60 and 70. Fox gets halfway in the middle of the road. We're 100 feet out from the fox, 75 feet out, 50 feet out. You're like, he's not stopping. He's not moving. He's not moving. He's not moving.
You're just staring at us.
And the fox then immediately at the last second guns it and walks, runs off the road. Well, I go, what did you say? You said, what does the fox say?
Nothing if you kill it. Or nothing anymore.
Nothing if he doesn't move. I was like, what does the fox say?
The thing is, Teddy's like the size of a fox, like a decent size.
He was a
fox.
cute little fox, though. Yeah. I was kind of hoping like he would like get in the car with us and we can bring him back.
You don't want.
Well, here, last thing I'll say, and I got this from Caleb Ullman, and I don't know if he said this or made it up or heard it from somebody else, but he had said at Together in the Trades, nobody brags about how much they see their wife.
That was so good.
Like a little bombshell.
Brag about late nights. I worked by my business. I worked a 12-hour day.
80 hours this week.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so good at working hard.
Yeah. But nobody's bragging about how much they spent time with their wife, how many times they took their kids out to baseball or, got ice cream, how many hours this week. I could tell you how many hours we logged with payroll, but I can't tell you how many hours I logged with my wife. Right. And I just think there's a little bit of a repositioning of priorities. And even if that has to happen. Like
we keep saying, if you don't hit that 15 to 20 hours, that's okay.
It's okay.
The fact Brian, when he, sat me down and he's like, we're going to do this date night thing, just the idea that my husband wanted to make it more of a priority to get time with me alone.
How'd that make you feel?
It made me feel so good. I made me feel special, cared for, cherished, just with a simple knowing your intention. And it didn't matter if date night is Burger King and we, park it at the lake down the street. It just the fact that you're taking time, knowing how busy you are, knowing how much you have on your plate and what's going on in your world, that I'm still in the mix enough, top of mind, top of, your priority, that you want to stop all of that just to get, a couple hours with me on a Thursday night. That means so much. You could take peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and sit in your driveway and draw with chalk. Right. That's so stinking cute.
Right.
We're not complicated. I know guys think girls are so complicated, but really we're not.
Okay. I was like nodding in agreement, and then my brain went, no, you're not. But I love you anyway. But what we're saying is true. There's counterbalance. I don't think you could be the best at everything at to do 6 different things all at the same time. I have not found that to work for my personality type. I have to crush it in the business, 40, 50 hours a week. I need to come back to the weekend, crush it at something else, go back to something else, crush it at that. And it's actually more productive for me to be focused than to be, helter-skelter and scatterbrained all over the place. And that also is same thing with relationship with my wife. I need to put 1 or 2 hours in per day. That's not the best focus quality time, but for me, I can chisel out 3 solid hours on a date night. On a Thursday, right? I can chisel out 3 or 4 hours on a Saturday, 3 or 4 hours on a Sunday, and that gets me that 10, 12, 15 hours. Now, if you look at the spring rush, the summer, dog days of summer, we spend more time together in the summer, so it kind of ebbs and flows, right? Spring, it's a lot less time. Summer, it's a lot more balanced. September, October for us in the Midwest, we get that second wind. There's a lot of work to do. The grass starts growing again. It's like a second spring. Leaf cleanups come.
So it might snow.
It might snow.
Really messes up.
The pendulum swings again. It's a little less time. Winter is the massive counterbalance for us. We spend a ton of time together.
More time together than not.
For sure. And there's a lot of work to do in the winter, but we spend way more time together.
We'd have truck dates. Like I would go out with you and plow.
You do come plow with me. Absolutely. But we spend way more time together in the winter, and that kind of recharges the season, from missing each other
You get to the point where like I'm missing you in the spring, and then by
winter, you're like, go away.
At the end of winter, you're like, go away.
Go away. Now go work. And I want to by then. I'm like, hey, I want to go work for the next 8-10 weeks. I just want to go hustle, crush it, make money, do mulch, blah, 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 right? So any which way.
If this is sounding like something you guys like are nodding in agreement to, I want to challenge you. Go home and tell your wife that you want to make spending time with her more of a priority, and watch her eyes and watch how she reacts to that.
Yeah.
And that will tell you if you're spending enough time or not. And you should know your wife just by looking in her eyes, whether that's like...
Yeah. And what about kiss on neck? Does that help a little bit once in a while?
I don't know what works for your wife. I can't tell you that.
Well, I know it works for my wife. If you happen to be doing the dishes and I come from behind and I give a little kiss on the neck and a little pat on the butt, you go, hey, you going to finish what you started?
Stop.
And I said, yeah. I said, you want me to finish these dishes? You're like, I'll see you in 10 minutes. And I'm like,
don't mix the batter if you're not going to make the cake or bake the cake. I always come up with something. No, because I can never think of what is it. Don't, it's like, don't start what you can't finish, but I can never think of that.
You always say, don't mix the batter if you're not going to bake the cake.
Or like silly things like, don't start the movie if you're not going to pop the popcorn.
I don't know.
Stupid.
That's usually when I'm like, oh, I like it when you talk dirty. One time I was talking to Liz. And she goes, talk dirty to me. And I go, dishes, laundry. I go, cat litter box. She goes, oh my God.
The cat litter box.
Cat litter box. All right. This is a fun episode. Yeah. We just want to say that.
Probably weirded people out.
Yeah, probably a little bit. But this is Lon's lessons. This is the life part. The last 2 weeks of the episodes have been probably the most honest conversations we've ever had on the podcast. Yeah. And they include more of you. So you're giving away my secrets, right?
Yeah.
But for us, a big thing we wanted to do was kind of counterbalance with a trip to... I
wonder what the word counterbalance is on this podcast.
For sure. Ding! Well, we wanted to go to Traverse City, right? So we spent 5 or 6 days doing that. Rob held the fort. That was awesome. We had a really, really good time together. So many stories, so many laughs, so many things that we got to do, check out. It was a really good time to just spend time with you. Now we're going to counterbalance with a kid and have just pandemonium for probably the next 18 years.
Great. So,
all right. Well, let's, you good to go?
Yeah.
You want to button this up right here?
Yeah.
How's baby doing? You ready?
Yeah.
You got another month. You're breathing heavy.
I am breathing heavy.
All right, guys. Well, we'll button up right here. Let's kick it back over to Marty, Mr. Producer. We just wanted to talk about ways to improve your relationship, things that you can do to prioritize your spouse, your husband, or your wife, and just things that work for us. And we just want to help you guys stay off the crazy train. And we want you guys to have a successful marriage, right? Mm-hmm. We always say, if we help you have a successful life, you'll have a successful business. But if we just help you have a successful business, your life is probably going to implode around you because it's not all encompassing.
Like I said at Together in the Trades, I don't care if you have the most successful multi-million-dollar business. If you're a terrible father or a terrible husband, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like
what's the point?
What's the point?
Amen to that. All right, guys, just keep it true north, and don't forget about your bride. Don't forget the reason why you married her is to spend time together, not time away from her, right? And so everything I do is either I spend time with her or I'm trying to build something to get back with her full time. So that's how it works for us. So, all right, guys, over and out from this episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered Studios, over here from our living room in Novi, Michigan.
I like podcasting in our living room.
Yeah, this is comfortable, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the studio has better mics.
Yes.
But this still sounds really good. Anytime you're talking, they're learning, babe.
Oh,
because you're awesome.
Oh God, this crazy lady's on here again.
Yeah. When you talk through your teeth and your gums, like, all right, we should just wrap it up right there. All right, guys, over and out from this episode of Fullerton Unfiltered. We'll catch up with you guys here on the next one.
Bye.
Ballard Innovative Products is a full line of gear for the lawn and landscape professional. From mower gear, safety gear, trailer racks, equipment securement, equipment servicing tools, aerators, mower blades, X-blades, aluminum baggers, and much more to make you efficient, effective, safe, and profitable in the field. Check out Ballard-Inc.com to help dominate and elevate your business. Ballard Innovative Products. With over 20 years of selling accessories and 30 years in the business, we're sure that we've got something you can't live without. We appreciate the support and look forward to serving you this season. Stay safe and keep grinding, friends. And don't forget to use Brian's 10 to save 10% at Ballard-Inc.com.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.